Controversy last time he was here. Hopefully he can do the same today. Good morning, Greg Willard.
Good morning, McGraw and Kelly.
Apple is now battling the FBI over piracy, and Bill Gates, of all people, came out and sided with the federal government. Explain this to us.
Well, let's see if we can set the stage. It all emanates from the tragic terrorist attack in San Bernardino,
Right.
where the two terrorists murdered 14 people, shot another 21, and destroyed the lives of many others.
Right.
The FBI learned that the terrorists had 3 cell phones, McGraw and Kelly. 2 of them apparently were destroyed. The FBI was able to get the 3rd. They got a search warrant, and they attempted to search and get the information off of that cell phone. It is an iPhone. It is encrypted, and they do not have the passcode to get into it.
Right.
They have asked Apple to assist them in getting this information from the terrorist phone, and Apple has refused. It is now in court.
Right.
The issue is using a statute, you can't make this stuff up, using a statute that originated and was signed by President George Washington in 1789.
Okay.
Can a federal court order a private company or a citizen to invent, design, and produce something that it does not have? Apple says it can't, and the FBI and the Justice Department says that it can. Those are the lines, if you will.
So Apple's saying we don't have his passcode, we can't invent it.
Well, what the FBI has asked Apple to do is to create a software program for the terrorist phone that would do 3 things. Number 1, that it would disable the code that says once you've attempted 10 passcodes, the data is wiped out.
Right, right.
Number 2, to disable the part of the software that with each additional search, the delay period extends. So, for example, after 9 searches, McGraw, it will take you an hour. You will have to wait an hour to do the 3rd.
Okay.
To do the 10th, rather.
Right.
The 3rd thing then that they've asked Apple to do is to allow the FBI to hook up to that cell phone remotely so that they can run 1 million different passcode combinations a second.
Right.
Those are the 3 things it's asked Apple to create just for that phone software.
Okay, now this is a case that is really important for these 2 terrorists, also ongoing terrorist actions, right? This is an important question. Is this important enough to take years to get to the Supreme Court, or will this be heard and tried and ruled on relatively quickly?
I think it will be ruled on relatively quickly, but my guess is that either way it goes, it will get certainly appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and perhaps the Supreme Court will review it. But I think there's a fundamental question here, and that is we're confronted once again, McGraw and Kelly, with the question privacy of the American people and the safety of the American people, and specifically who decides. Does the FBI decide? I don't think so. Should Apple decide? I don't think so. Should a federal court decide? No. Who needs to decide these things, in my judgment, is the American people through the Congress. And what have we seen? We have seen an abject dereliction of duty by the Congress to do the job we hired them to do. This is how the American people could respond to striking this balance between privacy versus safety, and instead we're forced to have a federal judge in California use a statute originating with George Washington to decide this.
Bill Gates says, hey, wait a minute. If the FBI wants some specific banking records, there's a process to go and get that banking records. What's so terrible about saying, hey, we know this person has probable cause. Why can't we access his phone because of those probable cause? They're not going for all of our phones. They're just going for his phone.
Right. And let's be clear. What the controversy for so many years with the NSA surveillance was that there were no search warrants involved. They were just doing the surveilling. In this instance, the FBI has a search warrant.
Right.
What is different here from what the example with getting bank records. What's different here is even with the search warrant, they can't get the information because it's encrypted on the iPhone. So they need Apple's assistance. Apple is the only organization in the world that can do this. They need Apple's assistance to prepare a software program for this phone to do those three things.
But Apple's saying that on principle, it's his, it's not ours. We don't have the right to go and give you this information?
Well, if they are ordered by a court, or if they consent to a court order, they have the right to do that.
Right.
What they're saying, and they have every right to say it. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, says, we are not going to do this. We're not going to produce it. Okay, they have every right to say that. The FBI has every right to say, we have to have it for the safety of the American people.
Right.
And the one entity that's not saying, McGraw and Kelly, is the one entity empowered under the Constitution to say it's the Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you are getting. That'll be $20,000 for that. St. Louis University law professor Greg Willard, also our legal analyst, giving us great legal advice from time to time. Mr. Willard, professor, thank you for joining us.
My friend, always glad to be with you.
8:26 here.